Right from the first few seconds, your mind starts racing. Am I missing something? Have I been doing this wrong all along? That's the power of a cold shock. It grabs attention instantly by presenting a surprising fact that hits close to home, something personal and relatable. The goal isn't just to make someone raise their eyebrows, it's to make them lean in, because that statistic isn't just a number. It's a reflection of real people, real experiences, and real science. The shock works because it taps into our natural curiosity and our need to solve problems, particularly ones that affect our most intimate relationships. Most men, when they hear a statistic like this, immediately connect it to themselves. Am I the 11%? What am I missing? It triggers an emotional reaction before any explanation is given. And that reaction is what makes people pay attention. The beauty of using a cold shock is that it sets the stage for the rest of the conversation. It primes the brain for new information by creating a tiny emotional jolt. It's also subtle psychological manipulation in a good way. People are naturally drawn to things that are surprising, counterintuitive, or seemingly hidden from them. And when you combine that with a promise of learning something actionable, engagement skyrockets. A cold shock isn't just a gimmick. It's a tool to open someone's mind, to make them curious enough to listen, and to emotionally invest in the content. In this case, by starting with a statistic that seems almost unbelievable, you create a tiny tension in the viewer's mind, a need to know. And that tension is what will carry them through the next steps, making them receptive to learning the position, understanding why it works, and applying it in their own relationships. This is why a cold shock is not just effective, it's essential. It transforms passive viewers into active learners, eager to discover the secret behind that 89% figure, and sets the emotional stage for the practical advice that follows. Now let's talk about the tease and payoff, the critical 8-15 second window that keeps people watching after that initial cold shock. Once you've dropped the 89% statistic, the viewer's brain is already buzzing with curiosity, wondering what this mysterious position could be and whether they're doing it wrong. This is where the tease comes in. It's a promise without giving away the full answer yet. You hint that the solution isn't what most people assume, that it's simple, natural, and backed by research, creating a sense of anticipation. The key here is phrasing. Instead of saying, here's the position, you say something like, It's not about size, stamina, or even fancy techniques. Most men overlook this one simple alignment that makes all the difference. That small tease does two things at once. It challenges assumptions and sets up the payoff. The payoff itself doesn't have to be immediate. It can be delivered after building engagement. But the tease plants a psychological hook that keeps attention, because humans are wired to resolve curiosity gaps. Your audience is now emotionally invested. They need closure. They need the answer, and they're far more likely to continue watching, absorbing your advice, and remembering the information. The tease and payoff also work on an emotional level. It combines relief, excitement, and a bit of suspense. You're signaling this is easy, achievable, and you're about to learn something that will transform your understanding, which not only makes the viewer stay, but primes them to accept the information as valuable. Finally, this moment is where credibility begins to form. By hinting that research supports the claim, you're reassuring the viewer that this isn't just anecdotal fluff. It's evidence-based, which makes the upcoming payoff even more compelling. When done well, the tease and payoff act like a psychological magnet. They take the initial shock of the 89% statistic and turn curiosity into active engagement, ensuring the audience is fully invested and eager to learn the practical, actionable steps you'll reveal next. It's subtle, but it's the hinge that transforms a startling statistic into a powerful teaching moment that viewers will remember and act on. After you've delivered the cold shock and teased the payoff, the next step is the engagement spark. The first 40 seconds where you turn curiosity into emotional connection and make your audience feel like this content is speaking directly to them. This is the moment where you step out of pure statistics and start addressing real-life experiences, common struggles, and relatable situations. Because attention alone isn't enough. People need to feel understood. You might say, if you've ever felt like no matter what you do, she just doesn't finish, you're not alone. Many men try everything, long foreplay, fancy techniques, even perfect timing, but still miss the mark. By framing it this way, you create empathy, showing that you understand their frustration, their uncertainty, and their desire to improve. The engagement spark works because it connects the audience's emotions to the solution you're about to offer. In this brief window, you're also subtly reinforcing that the content is actionable and relevant to their lives. This isn't just theory. It's a practical problem that affects intimacy, relationships, and confidence. You can add rhetorical questions to deepen involvement. Have you ever wondered if there's a single tweak that could change everything? A simple adjustment that makes a massive difference. These questions pull the viewer in, triggering the brain's natural curiosity and making them mentally participate rather than passively watch. Additionally, the engagement spark sets the tone for the rest of the video. It frames the upcoming reveal as both exciting and attainable. By the end of this short segment, your audience should feel understood, intrigued, and motivated. They should feel a subtle urgency to keep watching because they sense that the solution is not only possible but within reach. This is where you transition smoothly into the actual position reveal, because now the viewer isn't just curious, they're emotionally invested, ready to learn, and primed to absorb the research-backed techniques and nuances that will follow. Done correctly, the engagement spark ensures that the audience isn't just watching a statistic unfold. They're mentally and emotionally engaged, fully prepared to internalize and apply the insights you provide in a meaningful, lasting way. Now we get to the reveal itself, the moment every viewer has been waiting for, the research-backed position that makes 89% of women reach climax. After the cold shock, the tease, and the engagement spark, the audience is primed, curious, and emotionally invested, and this is where you deliver the actionable information. The key is to be clear, confident, and specific because vague advice will immediately lose trust and attention. You might say, according to studies, the position most women report as the most reliable for climax is the woman on top position with a slight forward lean. This allows for optimal clitoral stimulation while giving her control over depth, angle, and pace. The brilliance of this reveal is that it combines scientific evidence with practical usability. It's not just theory, it's something the viewer can immediately try. Then you explain why it works. The alignment allows the pelvic area to connect in ways that maximize stimulation, while her ability to control movement ensures the rhythm matches her unique preferences, something that traditional positions often overlook. comfort and communication also play a role. When she feels in control, tension decreases and pleasure increases, which is supported by research on sexual satisfaction. Subtle adjustments like tilting the pelvis slightly or leaning forward can dramatically enhance the effect, making it not just effective but customizable. This is also the moment to emphasize that small details matter. Hand placement, eye contact, and responsive feedback are just as crucial as the position itself. By presenting the reveal with confidence, clarity, and actionable steps, you transform a curious statistic into a practical, memorable lesson that your audience can apply immediately. You're not just telling them what works, you're explaining why it works, how to do it effectively, and how to adjust for individual preferences. This combination of evidence, explanation, and actionable advice ensures the reveal is not just informative, but transformative, giving the viewer both the knowledge and the confidence to apply it, strengthening intimacy and improving their sexual experience in a measurable, research-supported way. By the end of this section, the audience knows exactly what to do and why, and they're motivated to implement it, making this the pivotal moment of the entire discussion. Now that the position has been revealed, it's critical to explain why it works in a way that goes beyond mere mechanics, because understanding the science reinforces the value and makes the advice memorable and actionable. This position works primarily because of anatomy, physiology, and psychological factors coming together in perfect harmony. From a physiological standpoint, the angle of penetration and the ability for the woman to control movement aligns the pelvis so that the clitoris receives consistent stimulation while internal structures are optimally engaged, which is why research shows such a high success rate for climax. Unlike positions where the man controls rhythm, depth, and angle, this one allows her to self-regulate, adjusting instantly to what feels best for her body at any moment. Control itself is empowering. It reduces tension and increases relaxation, which are key components for sexual satisfaction. The position also fosters communication, whether verbal or nonverbal, because both partners can observe and respond to each other's cues in real time, creating a feedback loop that magnifies pleasure. Even subtle adjustments, leaning slightly forward, varying thrust depth, or synchronizing movements, dramatically enhance stimulation, making it not a one-size-fits-all solution, but a customizable experience tailored to her body and preferences. Additionally, the psychological element cannot be understated. When a woman feels safe, understood, and empowered in the sexual encounter, her arousal is more consistent, making climax far more likely. This is why technique alone isn't sufficient. Attention, patience, and responsiveness are equally critical. By explaining the physiological and psychological mechanisms, you're giving the audience not only the what, but also the why, reinforcing credibility and encouraging application. When men understand how subtle alignment, movement, and control combine to stimulate erogenous zones, they can approach intimacy with confidence rather than trial and error frustration. This section transitions the content from a surprising statistic into practical mastery, ensuring that viewers leave with actionable knowledge backed by research, insight into their partner's experience, and the tools to turn a single position into an intimate, satisfying encounter for both partners. By understanding why it works, the advice becomes internalized, empowering men to improve intimacy reliably and thoughtfully. Now that we've established why the position works so effectively, It's important to address the common mistakes men make that often prevent this research-backed approach from actually delivering results. Because knowing the right technique isn't enough if small missteps sabotage the experience. Many men assume that simply knowing the best position guarantees satisfaction, but in reality, it's easy to undermine the benefits through subtle errors. One of the most frequent mistakes is rushing, trying to finish too quickly without letting her fully engage or relax. Pleasure isn't just about speed, it's about rhythm, timing, and responsiveness. And rushing breaks the natural feedback loop that makes the position so effective. Another common error is ignoring communication, both verbal and nonverbal cues. Every woman's body responds differently, and failing to notice subtle shifts, moans, or adjustments can drastically reduce stimulation, even in the perfect position. Some men also overlook posture and alignment. Pelvic tilt, lean, or angle might seem minor, but they significantly affect clitoral contact and overall comfort. Additionally, many treat intimacy as purely physical, neglecting emotional connection. Eye contact, touch, and verbal affirmation enhance comfort and arousal, and neglecting these factors reduces the likelihood of climax.